All right, so I'm gonna share with you 3 things that I do to practice everything that I just wrote about in this email. Because like I said in the email, I used to be that person that went a million miles an hour. I was a workaholic. I was a workoutaholic. I was like moving at a million miles an hour off of like 3 hours of sleep every night, and it did not work, right? So that was my ego coming into play, but it also still does. Like, it's always going to be there. It's always up to us to make that decision, whether to kind of silence it and listen to what we need, or just even flipping the narrative in our head that like maybe I can learn something from whatever it is that we're going through, right? If it's a workout at Orange Theory, because I know most of us go to Orange Theory, or wherever you go, even if the template is something that you don't like that day, like, how can we still learn something from it? How can we shut off the ego part of us that's like, well, if I was running this workout, or if this was my job, right? Like, I do that all the time. If that was my kid, if this was my relationship, like, it's not my kid. It's not my job. It's not my relationship. So we calm the ego and we just learn something from it, and we either take it or we leave it, and then we go on and try to become the next best version of ourselves. So 3 things that I do to practice this, and I think this is to be expected. 1, because I teach these classes, but also because my body needs it and my mind needs it, is to practice yoga and to stretch on my own. Like, I make it a point to at least do it 2 to 3 times a week. There are millions of YouTube links. There are millions of free things out there. You don't even need a yoga membership to do this stuff. Like, and we also are kind of capable of understanding like what needs to be stretched and how, but I do understand that like classes and having someone lead you is a little bit more beneficial. But you know, I have to walk my talk of the classes that I teach and continue to learn and grow in that area. But I also have to make it a point, and it's a hard thing, to take the time to love my body, to stretch so that I can keep showing up to the harder things, to the more challenging and aggressive things, like the workouts that I usually do and that I like to do, right? So listening to my body and just giving myself that 15 minutes sometimes, or an hour of stretching and practicing yoga and practicing mindfulness. I also really enjoy reading. Like, there's a library across the hall from us, and it's really bad because I will come in and Sydney wants to kill me for walking in with like a stack of books. This library has been here for so long, and I just happened to peep at it like pretty recently, and I keep coming home with more books. Like, one of them is like learning Italian. Am I gonna do it tomorrow? Probably not, but there are so many books, and whether they're fiction or nonfiction, self-growth, like cooking, I don't know. I just like, it's really cool to stay curious and to learn a little bit, even on the things that might not like catch your eye right away, but to just be open to being like, what can I take from this? Like, how can I take what I want from it, take what's going to serve me, and then leave the rest? Like, there is no harm being done when we try something new. And I think that's kind of the whole point to all of this, right? Like, instead of labeling good and bad, when we do that with our minds, we just automatically put that label, like, this is bad, this is good, and then we decide that we want to do or don't want to do something. But if we took away the good and bad, because really there is none, like, everybody is to each their own, everybody has their different things that work best for them. If we could just get rid of the labels. Don't get me wrong, I hate blue cheese. Like, that is one thing that I'm just not open to. I hate it. I think it's nasty. I don't want to eat it. I'm not going to learn anything from it. I've tried it multiple times. There are those exceptions, right? You know what you genuinely do not like and what's not going to make you feel good, right? But that comes with trying. So staying open to things. And then the last thing that I like to do is I have these coloring books that they're like the little, like, you color in the lines and whatever, and doing something creative like that, doing something that is mindless, allows my brain to kind of calm down and lets all of these thoughts come up, or even recognition in my body of what might not feel good that day or in that time. And it's really just like meditative, because I understand meditation is not everyone's thing, but meditation can be going for a walk. Meditation can be a workout. Meditation doesn't have to be still, lay down, don't move, shut your brain off, listen to, like, I don't know, trees in the background, oceans in the background. Like, it doesn't have to look like that. Meditation is really just so that we have the ability to control what's happening mentally and control our thoughts before our thoughts control us. So if working out is your way to do that, then stick with that, right? Like, I'm not saying don't try the actual meditation thing, because I do that as well, and it's hard to sit down some days and be completely still. So I know what's going to work for me. Maybe it's listening to music. Maybe it's going for a walk. So finding something that is meditative to you, so that when the chaos does happen, when the hard days do happen, when the hard workouts happen, we understand how to respond instead of react to these things, and just keeping an open mind. That's really what life is about, right? Just remaining teachable, remaining curious, not having the ability to say, I like this and I don't like this. Like, we're entitled to our opinions. We're entitled to how we like to live our lives. But to be so quick to call something not for us, or I'm not like this, before even trying it, or before really stilling ourselves, stilling our mind and our body, and listening, because it does keep the score. It does tell us what it needs if we listen to it. It's going to tell you what it needs, right? So shutting the ego down, like I said, it's always going to be there. It's a good thing sometimes. Like, that's where like the hustle and like the stubbornness, the good kind of stubbornness, can come from. But it can also be the enemy of just like what we need deep down inside, like our soul, our heart, our emotions, our feelings. So just being aware of the difference.